So like it's gonna make it a lot easier to just like go ahead and like make that decision. But
and Allison has like a stink face, like I don't know what I'm doing.
why? Well, because I just had like more thoughts on it, but like I only had so much time that I could like say something about it. But
yeah.
And I don't know anything about Harry Potter, so I'm just kind of like, what?
Well, now that we are live, Allison, I was about to ask you. Allison pressed the live button. Like,
I never get to do that to anybody.
That's funny.
Allison, what Harry Potter house are you?
I'm the rattlesnake.
You're Slytherin?
Slytherin?
Yeah, sure. I'm the little blonde little effer
Yeah.
from the movie. I like him.
I'm Slytherin through and through. But hello, everybody. Welcome to my weekly meltdowns, week 2 of the live feed updates. This is a very spoiler-heavy show, so we're going to talk about, of course, the noms, which already aired, but we're also going to talk about the veto, what happens with veto, if anybody gets replaced on the block, and all the rumblings of the Big Brother house before the live eviction this Thursday. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We have a lot of people in the chat already. Hello. Let's first get some general thoughts. So what are you guys thinking about this week as Memphis is head of household? What's how do we feel? How do we feel about this week so far?
It's a lot more intense than it was last week. A lot more people whispering and huddled up in corners and stuff.
Yeah, this is exactly what I had wanted for this week. I wanted things to start getting muddled. I wanted people to start potentially like drawing those lines in the sand. I wanted people to maybe be questioning the people they started off the game with. Yeah. And we're getting all of that, so I'm here for it.
Right. Yeah. Of course, when we first saw that Memphis won HOH, I was like, it's probably going to be a pretty straightforward week, especially since we just saw on the show he was making that big telephone alliance. But I think Memphis's style of gameplay is a little too old-fashioned for Big Brother 22, and I think that we're seeing the consequences of that all week long here.
Yeah, but I love this. A Memphis HOH was a week I didn't know I needed, but I'm glad I got it. I agree, Steph and Natoli, because Allison needs a little old school HOH, old school Big Brother in her life because I've been over it the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like Memphis, of course, he's saying like he's not like going to everybody and being like, okay, so who should I put up? Like, what do you guys think is like best for the alliance? He's basically just telling like both sides of the house, like, I'm gonna put up like whoever I feel like it at the time, and you guys just decide. And nobody knows how to play like that, so it's just causing like all of this chaos, and it's crazy. And of course, in the mighty middle, like we talked about last week, is Bailey and Davon. They really find themselves kind of at the middle of these two like big crossroads, and there's so much gameplay happening over like, should we keep David or Nicole Anthony? And it's to me, it's a great sign of what's to come for the rest of the season. If people are fighting this hard to save either Nicole Anthony or David, like imagine when like the numbers are like so much tighter, right?
Well, also, like, imagine when it's somebody who's fiercely a number on one of their sides and not two people who seemingly have loose connections to random individuals, not even an alliance, but like random individuals in the house, like both Nicole Anthony and David have. It's a beautiful week. I'm excited. There's been a lot of other like drama that like specifically we'll get into it with Nicole Anthony and such. And I know that somebody said, please go easy on Nicole Anthony. I have no intention of going off on her.
No, we hate the other Nicole.
Yeah, no, we're going to go after this girl and not the other one.
Hello. But I'm all about anybody who can cause emotional turmoil, nervous breakdowns, not filled crying, gasping for air, hyperventilating breakdowns. I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is the Big Brother that we love. But the Big Brother that we do not love is just the stuff that's been happening with Nicole Anthony this week. And we can like start the episode by talking about that because I think it's
don't really know a lot.
Yeah, so Allison, to fill you in on what is happening, so like the first few days with Memphis as HOH was pretty just like, I can't believe he said that in his nomination speech, blah blah blah. But like everything else was like pretty just like quiet and chill. But in the last like 24 to 48 hours, after the veto ceremony was done, of course, Memphis did not. He won the veto. He decided not to use it, so it's definitely either David or Nicole. And Janelle and Kaser are fighting so hard to keep Nicole Anthony here, and it's so frustrating because Kevin and Nicole Anthony like cannot like comprehend that they want to work with him.
Right.
And I feel like Nicole Anthony is really unable to take herself out of the trauma that she found herself in last season. Of course, like, and I think that it's like borderline like panic attacks. I've never had one, but like her breathing patterns, like 2 days ago when she was talking to Davon, it was some really scary stuff to see happening. And so basically what's happening, like she told Davon, like, I don't think I can do it. If I end up staying, like, I don't think I have another week in me. I need to talk to like the DR about like a psych evaluation or something. And I think that she is just so traumatized from all the bullying that she went through last season that she can't separate that from the people this season and see the writing on the wall that like Janelle and Kaser are really trying to keep her.
Yeah, it's
Is that who she was talking about today? About she can't get it. She doesn't know. Like, was she bashing Janelle and outing Janelle today?
She just like doesn't believe. I think it comes from like a place of gameplay, not like anything personal. But I think she's just like very insecure about like, Janelle and Kaser are playing me, and like I can't trust these like popular people, right?
I think every player that comes out of the Big Brother house has some level of PTSD, has some level of paranoia. And when you combine the fact that, yes, we listed on Alex Kidwell's podcast the other day how many players have played back-to-back summers. But I would argue that I haven't seen the earlier ones, but I would argue for the more recent ones, including Paul. Like, if you think about Paul, right? Paul has a certain edge to him in BB 19 than he did in BB 18. Mm-hmm. Some of that has to do with the power that the house gave him and kind of maybe inflated his ego, his head, and that kind of thing. But there's a side of him that came out that was nasty that we didn't see as much of in BB 18. And I think a lot of that has to do with the stress and how people handle that. How Nicole is handling the fact that literally nobody last year trusted her and wanted to work with her and had all these like cool kid alliances, is that she's stuck in the middle of all these legendary cool kid alliances. And I don't think that she knows who to turn to. Kevin is similar in her, like we saw him talk a little bit about it last week with Cody about he never felt like he was cool. He wasn't somebody that was in the popular kids or anything like that. And if that's the person you're kind of connecting with, you're going to have even more of a deep-seated, like, I can't believe that someone like Janelle and Kaser want to work with me. And so I think other people are catching on to that. And like, even if they're not really saying it, I think that they're kind of using that to a game advantage, which I think is, good on them to do that. That's part of the Big Brother game. But I think that they're able to easily kind of twist her around, get information out of her, encourage her to do a house meeting to call out Janelle, even though Janelle's the one that's really trying to fight to save her.
Mm-hmm.
Happen.
So Nicole Anthony says that, like, if the votes aren't there by tomorrow, she's going to do a house meeting and call out Janelle and Kaser for their game.
Oh my God.
And right, that is exactly my reaction, Allison.
Nicole, stop listening to your gut.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a really bad case of imposter syndrome, right? Like she like doesn't think that she is good enough to align with the Janelles and Kasers of the Big Brother world. But of course, like without Nicole, we saw Janelle cry on the live feeds for the first time.
I know.
But we'll talk about the birthday in a second. It's very exciting. But yeah, like that's how much like it's like really eating at Janelle that like I want to save this girl, but she's like not helping me at all. And I feel like how can this plan happen when like Janelle's like really going to bat for Nicole, but then Nicole is going and telling those same people that would need to flip, yeah, don't trust Janelle. Like, how can they like trust that like this alliance can work out if there's all this like inner like one-sided turmoil? So it's really interesting, and I hope that people are kind to Nicole online after she's out of the Big Brother house.
Yeah,
because I could see some people really, like saying like, what's wrong with you? Like, why didn't you trust Janelle? Like that kind of thing. But
it's really been kind of upsetting. There's some people who I have a lot of great respect for, both on BB Twitter and Sequester or whatever, who are normally big champions of mental health, who aren't seeing that this is very much a mental health infiltrating game decisions. Nicole is not in a place where she is mentally able to decipher what's truth and what's lie. And that's part of the game, but she's not in a place where she can mentally handle that either. So when you're saying stuff like, I hate Nicole Anthony, like, what the fuck do you think that she's doing? Like all these kind of things. It's like, oh, okay, a person who clearly had some kind of anxiety attack is not having rational thoughts anyway, and then put on the stress of a game on top of that. It makes it very hard. And Jay Jobs just said she's brainwashed. And I definitely think that they're like people are taking advantage of that in the house and doing some of the brainwashing, whether they mean to or not. Like I think Kevin doesn't necessarily maybe mean to do that, but I think he is brainwashing her in this situation.
Do you think it was too soon?
I do.
For Nicole to play again.
I think it's too soon, and I don't think that she's like cut out for this game. Of course, like one line that I really love that Kevin told Nicole while he was trying to like pump her back up. He said, "Do you remember that room where like everybody was bullying you, and like they like locked you out of the HOH room last season?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You beat every single one of those people. Like you outlasted all of them." And like that is like so incredible, and you are such a fighter.
Who said that to her?
Kevin. I will say one person that has been really there for Nicole and really separating that from any kind of like game gain in the house is Davon. She's really been there for Nicole and just been like a really sweet person. Like after Nicole was having her breakdown 2 days ago, immediately after that, she like went into the bathroom and Danny was there. And I was like, is Davon gonna like say anything to Danny about this? She didn't say anything. She kept it totally separate from like any kind of game or strategy or anything, and was just like really there for Nicole as a person, as somebody who's been a returnee before. This is Davon's third season, so she knows what it's like to be Nicole coming back for a second season, a back-to-back season too.
Right. And I think that one thing that let's be 100% honest. Okay, this is not the real world. Even if Davon doesn't say something now, it is absolutely to her benefit to be that person for her in a game sense, because there could be a time if Nicole stays this week where she needs Nicole, and Nicole's going to feel better about Davon because of the bonds that Davon made with her on a personal level that seem to be separate from the game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is where so many things within Big Brother have these blurry lines, right? Where you're like, well, they're only being nice because of this. I highly doubt that Davon's only being nice because she wants to potentially get something down the line from her, but I definitely think that's also going to help her in the game. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to make that distinction because I also saw people online who were saying things like, oh, you know, this is the people who are like comforting her are only doing that to potentially be in better favor of her before she goes, or whatever the case might be. And I'm like, well, even if that is the case, like, why would you be a dick? Right. So I think that, you know, we just need to maybe reflect on that a little bit too.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah. Sorry, I was reading a comment. J Job says Davon is also getting snowed by Slick Six. So I want to talk about this alliance.
Hold on a second. Is this a real name?
It is.
Yeah.
I believe it was Tyler that made it.
What a shocker!
What a shock. Go ahead.
So the alliance is Cody, Tyler, Enzo, Danny, Bailey, and Davon. And Davon is like really falling for this alliance, where I think like the key to keeping Nicole this game, if Davon and Nicole really, if Davon and Bailey really want to, is who is not in that alliance? Christmas. Who is in that original telephone alliance? Christmas. Christmas's vote is like one that Janelle and Kaiser are really working hard at trying to get this week. They basically have that big alliance figured out except for Christmas. So spoiler alert, I'm going to be ranking like Christmas very high this week in terms of like her placement and everything. But with that being said, Christmas, I'm sure like would not feel good about this this is like a tongue Slick Six Alliance. They have to do a different name. So I think that's the key. If they really want Nicole to stay, they could go to Christmas and say, hey, like these guys made this alliance without you. Like you think that you're in tight with them? Think again. Like you are like more on the bottom end of that total poll. Let's keep Nicole. Let's like figure out an alliance from there. So I don't know. I'm hoping that'll happen, but I think personally, I don't think Nicole's going to have the votes. I think Christmas
Here's the thing. If I were Janelle and Kaiser, I would stop campaigning for Nicole. Like if this is clearly like David is clearly not in that alliance, right? So this is the time where you should be working on David, because if you don't think you can save Nicole, which it does seem like the votes have flipped and now David's going, so that is another discussion. But why would you want to keep Nicole after this is what I want to know. I think on a personal level, it makes complete sense. Obviously, I think there's a feeling of like Nicole's almost like a little sister in a lot of ways to Janelle. Like I've gotten that kind of feeling. So
at this point, I would keep David over Nicole Anthony.
I agree.
Because I think it would be easier to rope him in as a vote. I think if he wins HOH, he will show gratitude. Nicole, her HOH. How many times did she win HOH last year?
I think only once.
Twice.
What did she do with that HOH?
Let me check. Keep talking while I'm looking that up.
I'm just kind of curious what she did, because we don't know what a David HOH would be, but we kind of can go off
She
what
won it in the double eviction, and I believe that's when they got rid of Christy.
Okay.
That's when they could choose whether to do Christy and Tommy or Holly and Jackson, and then
you're correct.
She chose to get rid of Christy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nicole also won the Final Four HOH.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So she won 2 HOHs. She won the double, and then she won the Final Four. She didn't win the veto for the Final Four. I believe that was Jackson. So yeah. And,
he won the Final Four.
And he chose to get rid of Cliff, and then
so of course, like, should they keep David over Nicole A? Maybe not. But one thing that is not helping David is he told Davon last night that there's a guys alliance that doesn't exist. And like Davon is like very paranoid about this information. And so I feel like that's another reason that Davon and Bailey are thinking like, maybe we should take out David here. And of course, like David goes to Tyler after this conversation and says like, I told her that there's a guys alliance. She just like got it out of me. I'm so sorry. And so what does Tyler do? He starts forming an all guys alliance. So there is like a little bit of, I feel like he's like manifesting this like all guys alliance thing. But it's just like, I don't understand like how you could be like this sloppy on an all-star season, but I do understand because you are the first boot. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. David has it so easy this week if he just like stopped talking. Right.
Just stop talking. Don't do anything. Don't make up lies. Don't even talk to the cameras. Don't even have cliff notes. Shut up. Be quiet. Be pretty. That's all we care about. Yep. Nicole's shooting herself in the foot right now. Mm-hmm. She doesn't realize, hey, Kaiser and Janelle are actually on your side because she came back to the game too quick. She still has PTSD. She can't handle it. And it's like, girl, listen. Mm-hmm. You are allowed to sit at the popular kids table. Not every popular kid is an asshole. Okay, you've got 2 people that want to welcome you in, and yes, they're popular, and they genuinely want you in there. Stop putting them in the same category as the dicks you played with last year. Stop listening to your gut. Stop it.
This just goes to show that like anybody that goes through reality TV, production really should be paying for like a therapist of some kind for them to talk to after.
I volunteer myself. I'll be a good brother therapist.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? So why did you think that you would do that? Did you think you'd get away with it?
She's like, let me tell you something.
What were you thinking? I can't do anything for you. You're fucked.
I want my therapist to say you're fucked. I think that's so funny. You're fucked.
Ultimately, though, I think that Nicole is still going home. I don't think the votes are going to come together, and I think everybody except for Janelle and Kaiser and Kevin are going to vote her out. I think that's what's ultimately going to happen. But God bless these editors this week who have to like put together a Wednesday show with like just all of this craziness, because it was a lot that happened yesterday.
It was crazy, and I knew it was crazy before I was doing all the recaps of everything that worked when I saw Taryn tweet me taking notes about what happened over the past 12 hours, and it was a gif of him like someone taking a whole bunch of notes and such. Like, I mean, there was just a lot that's been going on, and I think that, again, like, I know that I keep saying this, but we need to respect the fact that even though it's incredibly frustrating to watch and we want Nicole to come to her senses and all these different kinds of things, that there's a very real possibility that she's not going to be able to come to her senses. So when she leaves this house, BB Twitter, y'all can be real nasty. And I really hope that you take into consideration that Nicole was your America's favorite player last year, and that she is a kind soul who is trying to do her best and clearly having a mental health issue with this as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. Just please be kind to Nicole. That's all we ask. Apparently, on Beth's Twitch stream, somebody says Tyler's trying to get Nicole to do a house meeting right now. I really hope that she doesn't do this. I don't see this working out for her at all.
No.
No, please, no.
Is it wrong? There's a part of me that just I kind of want her to seal her own fate so that she can get out of there. Like, is that awful of me to say? Like, I love Nicole, but I want her to, like, I don't think this is healthy for her. I think that she should get out of the house. And I don't want her to quit. I want her to be voted out. But
yeah, I totally agree.
Tyler is an enabler. Yes. But you know what? I'm not any better, because I would... I wouldn't do it to her, but if it was a jerk in the game and I knew they would look like a total ass, if they call the house me, I'd be like, look, you gonna take this? I'd say something. I'd round everybody up and say something, okay?
The only time a house meeting has gone well for somebody is Dan's funeral.
I was just gonna say, was it Dan's funeral?
Yeah, that's literally it. So hopefully Nicole doesn't do that.
And I do want to shout out what Big Brother Ant was saying, which is that apparently Christine Varner, who's been on reality recaps, has already offered to kind of help Nicole out when she gets out, like with PTSD. As we know, Christine from season 16 faced a lot of immediate backlash and stuff that continues to haunt her because people are dicks.
Yeah.
They are.
And she didn't deserve any of that. So I'm really happy that Christine's just awesome. I will forever be a defendant of Christine Varner. I hope that we can get her on the show sometime. We've reached out before, and so maybe she'll come on. But she's I think going to be a pretty good resource. I think that she's good friends with Eric, who's Nicole's co-host on reality recaps.
Why do people have to be so mean? Okay, can I say something?
I hope it's mean after you said that. No,
can I steal your fan?
Yes. I don't have mine up here, so yeah. You have to do it for me.
I can't. Okay. Here's the thing. I forgot what I was going to say because I was so wrapped up in opening the fan.
So before we get into
wait. I remember now. Can I say it?
Go ahead. Yeah.
When I started my weekly meltdown 5 years ago today, that's
what I wanted to bring up. Happy birthday to the My Weekly Meltdown channel.
To My Weekly Meltdown.
Yes. 5 years ago, posted that first video and it was horrible, but it's so bad it's good.
It's entertaining.
I was really, really nasty when I started my weekly meltdown. Okay.
But then you learned to shower?
Listen, I've showered, I've cleaned out my mouth with soap since then.
Good.
I've had a couple of come to Jesus talks and I've been to church, but I was really mean. It was Big Brother 17. I said some things. I came up with some nicknames. I'm not proud of them.
I think all of us came up with nicknames for a lot of the people in BB17.
And I had to actually take some of the just because I don't want to bite me in the ass later, but whatever.
Take them down.
Just make them for my eyes only. I ain't deleting anything. But I know how it is to get caught up in the moment at that time. And I wish I hadn't said, but listen, I had like 35 subscribers back then. So, it's fine. Nobody really, was.
I'm floored. I want to revisit something. So wait, you recognized something that you said was potentially harmful to somebody, and so you decided to take it down?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's something people could do when they're talking about Big Brother.
Yeah,
because all I see is people just defending the shit out of what they said rather than just owning, oh, wait, I was being a dick. So I didn't realize that people could do that.
I was very ugly to Vanessa. I called her Nessa. Hey, it was bad. Vanessa, I'm sorry.
I'm sure Vanessa is watching right now and she feels like so much better about her life.
I apologize.
I'm sure that you were the person who said the worst stuff about Vanessa. I'm sure that was it right there.
Yeah, right.
Well, when I went off, I had people telling me that I needed subtitles because my southern accent, so they couldn't even understand me. So maybe it was okay.
They just thought you couldn't say Vanessa properly.
Yeah, they thought I couldn't say Vanessa right. Sure, yeah, that's it.
I love that. Allison, any more thoughts about or anything else to say? I mean, this is a big deal. 5 years at My Weekly Meltdown. This
show is going into kindergarten.
Yeah,
we're starting kindergarten. We're old enough to get out of pull-ups. We're now a big kid.
Mm-hmm.
Using potty.
Nap time. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. Wiping our own asses. Still a little skid marks, but we're getting there because nobody's perfect. It's been thank you everybody for saying. Listen, it's been a work in progress, and I've had people come to me like, "How did you get started? What did you do, and how and whatnot?" And all I have to say is, you're gonna have to grow thick skin and be very patient. Like we're just now really in the last year lifting off, and it took 4 years to get to where we are now, and we're still growing, and you have to dip your toe in and figure out what you want to do. I started out, covering Big Brother. I hadn't covered Survivor yet. I was covering The Walking Dead. I was covering American Horror Story. I was doing random movie reviews. I made my own little videos. There's one out there called Text Lies, like the lies people tell you when they're texting, that I learned from my son, little shit, and stuff like that. I mean, I did little things. I had to find my footing. So just be patient. It just takes time, but I'm happy. I never thought I would be sitting here without makeup on and a black eye doing a show 5 years later, but here we are.
Yes, here we are. Well, happy birthday to My Weekly Meltdown, and thank you, Allison, for creating this community. Having all of these people come together. And I wouldn't know Beth, I wouldn't know you without My Weekly Meltdown. So I have a lot to be thankful for here with the channel and everything like that, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Very true.
Yes, that's when I started. I started Ghost Island. Let's see. So, what is this? So Tyler's a halfway in type of guy. I don't know what that is referring to.
I think that's that you came in 2.5 out of 5 years, but I don't know what a halfway in type of guy means. So
he's got the tip in. He's got the tip in. He's almost in all the way. It'll be a few more years.
2.5 more years from now.
My face is all red now. Okay, so let's bring up. All right, so here's our fancy little chart here. So of course I color coded it. So these are our scores from last week. Beth, thanks for submitting those, even though you weren't here. So we could keep track of everything the entire season long. So I have week 2 here. Of course, Keisha is no longer with us. Also, speaking of that, Janelle has been talking a lot about there being a buyback and production, basically telling her, no, you won't see your family till for a few months. So they're telling her, you're going to be in Sequester if you get out pre-jury, basically. Keisha has been doing interviews. She was on Danielle Ray's podcast today. She has seen the episodes. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no pre-jury buyback for this season. Of course, it could be happening, but Keisha's not in it for some reason. But I feel like we would have known about that for some reason. And also, I feel like they would want Keisha to stay because so many people love her.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep note of too. All right, so first we're going to talk about Christmas. And of course, I said it a little bit earlier. I'm very high on Christmas this week. I feel like it's like Christmas Eve in the middle of August here, because she is playing a fantastic game. Janelle, Kaser, Bailey, Davon, they're the ones that are like putting the pieces together for this like big alliance, the one that Memphis created. But Christmas is the only one that is like not named in this big group. And I feel like everybody's seeing her as a really valuable chess piece to take control of. And I see a lot of people fighting for that control. So I think that I'm going to give Christmas a 9 this week. Allison, what do you think?
Oh, wow. This is a completely different Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
From the first time. She broke her ankle this time, right? It's been 2 weeks. It was like on day 12 that she broke her her leg.
So.
Yeah.
So we're about, that 12 days in, 13 days. So this is a completely different Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it. I like the lip injections. They look great. She looks good. She's playing the game. She's being quiet. I'm going to give her an 8.
All right, Beth, what do you think?
I agree with Allison. I'm going to give her an 8. I feel like she's done a really good job. I mean, she went against her alliance, essentially, without really knowing it, giving safety to Ian, and is facing virtually no repercussions for that, really, at all, except for the fact that she might not be included in this big alliance anymore. But, like, that's not something that I'm actually really concerned with her about. I think that people are going to continue to want to rely on her, especially as they get more wary of Memphis. I feel like they're strengthening their trust in Christmas. So I'm here for I'm here for her gameplay this week. I'm really impressed with her, and I would just say that I was not as bad on Christmas as everybody else, and I might have been stuck with her as the last pick for the draft, but I am excited about that. I'm happy to have her on my team.
Listen, it always ends up, look, don't even get me started. Hey, I've got a question. Is there an alliance called the Hard Six?
So Jay Jobs is saying that when did Janelle and Kaser identify Memphis as part of the Hard Six Alliance? So so Janelle and Kaser think that Memphis is on their side a lot more than he actually is. But if I had to guess which one Kaser and Janelle would figure out first as part of that alliance, I think it would be Memphis first before Christmas. Like that's how under the radar I think that Christmas is.
Yeah, but these names are ridiculous. The Slick Six, the Hard Six. I mean, this is a very shallow name pool. I would think for All Stars number 2, we can't come up with something more elaborate. I can't elaborate. The elaborate six.
I'm sure they're going to tell them to pick a new name besides the sexual six.
Not in this house this year. That should have been last year. Jeez.
True. Yeah. The stool six.
The stools.
The stool
samples.
The stool samples. Okay, we're saying it right now. One of the three of us get on Big Brother. We're getting an alliance, and we're freaking naming it Stool Samples.
The Stool Samples, because we're all pieces of shit.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk about David next. Of course, he is on the block, so I'm not going to give him too high of a rating. And honestly, I think that he is staying this week, but I don't think it's because of anything that he is doing himself. I think it's the universe is just kind of like working itself around. I don't see any way that he gets to the end and wins. People are just like totally sweeping him up, and he's just like playing a sloppy game. So, David, I'm giving you a 1. Sorry, buddy.
Wow. The way you started off talking about that was like, Yeah, he's on the block, but you know what? Like, well, like you made it seem like you were gonna give it not a 1. Like I thought you were gonna go for like a 4 or a 5.
He just like has no control over like what is happening to him. He's, if anything, he's the one that's like tanking his own chance of staying. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, he's probably staying, but it's not his fault. Like he's not doing anything correctly.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I was gonna give him a 2 because, as in like, what are you doing? You're flushing your game down the toilet, kind of 2.
Yeah.
He
Like the stool sample.
I agree. So here's the thing: all he had to do this week was shut up and lay low, specifically because the numbers were on his side from the get-go.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even do that. And I know that this is the most game he's played, but I think it was Henning who said it earlier in the chat, but basically like he's playing like an original season person. Like this is their first season. This is their first time experiencing things. And he can't help but play that way. He's making the mistakes you would make in your first time through. But given that I have to grade on an all-star scale, I'm giving him a 2. Otherwise, I'd give him more of a pass. I'd give him more of like a 4 or 5. But like all you had to do was
just chill
out
just
and like
chill.
Let Nicole lose the people that are trying to defend her, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you know, he's making up fake alliances, giving people ideas to make those fake alliances real.
Right.
So you got to give him credit for something. But yeah, he really is. He's not doing anything, and he's probably going to stay. Doesn't he get any credit for that? He's not really doing anything, but he is. Does that make sense? Like,
well, it's not 100% that he's staying, so that's my point.
He's trying too hard.
But it's not 100% that he's staying because of his own fault.
Right.
Like because he's being sloppy with information that isn't even true.
He tripped and fell in some lucky shit and is now doused in it.
Yeah.
So
what's your number?
Lucky, yeah. I mean, it's like he's going to stay. It's not a game move. It's not anything to be on his resume. Nothing. You didn't do anything. You thought you were, but you didn't. There's nothing here. I asked last week, can we do negative numbers? And Tyler won't let me.
Nope. 1 to 10. So Allison, what's your number for David?
I'm just going to give him a 2.
2. All right. So now we're going to talk about the other nominee. So while I gave David a 1, and it's weird because like Nicole's probably going this week, but I'm going to rank her higher than David. I feel like I have to give like a pity point to at least trying. Like, does she have terrible?
Give a pity point to David.
Because that's very fair. Okay, you've convinced me. I'm going to give her a 1 also. Sorry, Nicole, but your reads are terrible. Janelle and Case are in your pocket. They are fighting. Janelle is crying for the first time in the Big Brother house over you and staying in the house. Like, you just need to listen and like rally the troops together. But I understand like there's still like a lot of trauma from last season. And like we said, like it's probably like way too soon for her to go. So that's why I'm coming for her only from like a game perspective. That's the only reason I'm rating her a 1. She's a wonderful person. I want her to succeed. I had said last week I wanted her to win HOH. So it's a shame, but I think that she's ultimately going this week.
Has she talked to Janelle at all? I mean, is that even thing? And she still
just doesn't believe anything that Janelle's saying.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
I thought that was a visceral reaction.
I did too. I was like, is she trying to give herself another black eye?
Oh my God.
Nicole's bad gameplay just punched Allison in the face.
Yeah, that's it.
Allison, so what number are you going to give Nicole this week?
I don't know. I might have to give her a pity point. I don't know because I feel so bad. I feel bad for David and her, but David isn't doing it to himself really on purpose, and she's not really doing it, but she is doing it, but it's kind of on purpose. It's not, but I don't know what's happening with her. I feel like it's kind of all over the place. If she just had a little bit more faith and just took that leap of faith and just didn't listen to her gut and just said, I'm just going to stick my foot out and just listen to Janelle and Kaser, I really feel like that would, but she doesn't know what we know. So I have to give her that credit too. So I'm going to give her a 1.
All right. Beth, what do you think? Are you giving her a 1 as well?
Yeah. I love Nicole as a person. I understand completely about the mental health affecting her game.
Yeah.
But even before this week, her reads, even last week, were not that great. And it's just continued to go downhill. I understand it's affected her game, but if we're just talking about gameplay, she's doing nothing to help herself. She's hurting herself even more than David's hurting himself. And that's really saying something, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So let's talk about Danny. Do I think Danny played as good of a week this week as she did last week? No. So I think I'm going to give her a 7. I still ultimately think she's in a really good spot, but I think that she could be doing a better job with getting like the Janelles and Kasers at least on like a working relationship with each other type of thing. I fully believe that she did throw the HOH this week. Like she smiled when she got eliminated in that second question. So I'm glad that she identified that like she has no business being in power. She just needs to like lay low and let these people just like, she could be doing a little bit better socially with building bonds with the other side of the house. Beth, what do you think?
So I saw some interesting feeds the other night where she was talking with Nicole Franzel and Tyler maybe, but she was talking with them outside about catching Davon in a lie and how she wants to try to figure out a way to expose her by, it sounded like what her plan was to be like overtly exposing her rather than trying to find a way to
like a
small movement. And I don't think that's smart for her right now. I think that I think she's realized that Davon and Bailey are not going to be working with them and that they've moved over to the Janelle Kaser side. And I think that came out of fear. I'm worried that this will affect her ability to lay low now that people have sussed out that she's absolutely working in with that, that 6, that she's unbreakable from Nicole Franzel. I think that we're going to start seeing maybe in the next week, depending on who wins HOH, that's where I can't wait to see how Danny's going to play. Mm-hmm. So for this week, I'm going to give her a 6 because I feel like she has figured out things from her alliance about like Bailey and Davon, even Nicole and Ian. Like she's really kind of helped figure out a lot of that stuff, but I think she might be almost doing too much. It's weird. Like I like when people play like a more overt gameplay, but like she has to match her moves to how she's playing, and I'm nervous she won't.
Yeah. Matt Henning is telling Allison, give her a 5, Allison. Do it. What do you think?
Listen, here's the thing. Whenever I turn on the live feeds, I'm either looking at kittens or I'm looking at, they're following Nicole Anthony everywhere. They're following, Kaser and Janelle around, or it's on Memphis or Christmas. I haven't seen, and look, I'm not glued to the feeds 24/7, but I haven't seen Danny on the feed since yesterday morning when she was out there talking to Christmas. And Memphis came out and they tried to talk to him about something and he left and it didn't happen. And I don't really know. She's laying low, I assume. I don't really know. So I have to give her points for laying low, for staying out of the business, not causing any problems, possibly throwing the HOH, but we don't know. Has she voiced that to anybody?
No, but I feel like I know her well enough as a player to know that that's like what she's doing.
And look, she may be getting decent feed time and I'm just missing it. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but like I said, and I just want to say I'm lobbying for next season on Big Brother to have them put cameras on my cats because they are way more entertaining than the shit that we gotta watch. And the kittens and puppies are cute, but you want to watch Finley. You all know you do.
You want things that are going to match the drama that we're facing inside the house, right?
It's called
That
Big Kitty.
is Finley. That
Big
is called
Kitty.
Oliver. Is that the other one? Oliver and Finley going at it. Yeah, that's the prime drama. Imagine cutting from the feeds because there's a house meeting and it gets a little crazy and they have to cut the feeds for a second, and then you cut immediately to a cat fight. Like, come on, it matches it.
There's a bitch side eye stare down from across the room over Fancy Feast. But anyway, I'm gonna give her Finley. Yes, I'm telling you, I'll give her a 5.
All right. Oop, that is not
a Tyler. A 5.
No, stop it. What is happening?
I love how much you think of yourself. You're typing your name.
Danny gets a Tyler.
I was giving Danny a Tyler. Perfect. So sticking with the 5 we just gave Danny, I'm gonna give Cody a 5. I think that he has his solid alliance members, but man, his target is so big. I don't see how he doesn't get put up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, depending on who wins power. But I feel like Cody's name is always going to be in the conversation of a big threat that we need to get out. So yeah, that's what I think about Cody.
I think that Cody, I'm not going to give him a 5. I think I'm going to give him a 6 as well. I think that Cody is doing better than I thought he would this week, considering he was in HOH last week. I think more people are mad about Memphis's HOH this week, which is kind of erasing some of his target.
Yeah.
But especially if Kaser or Janelle wins, he's getting up on the block. No chance. However, he blew his safety this week. Actually, he blew his safety this week for the safety suite. So I'm gonna knock him down to a 5 as well. Actually, for that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
When he didn't need to play in it at all, but he did it because Memphis wanted it, and he ended up being the only person from their alliance besides Christmas, and now Christmas's placement is kind of questionable with them. And she saved somebody that actually was a target for Memphis, which is Memphis's fault. We'll get to him later. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Cody should have thought for himself like everybody else in his alliance did, and he would have guaranteed himself safety next week, knowing that he could be a target next week, depending on who's HOH, whereas he knew he was safe this week and coming off of an HOH. Actually, fuck that. Give him a 4. Now I'm really mad about this. Give him a 4.
I forgot that he kind of threw his safety suite thing away.
Yeah, no, give him a 4 for me. Cody, what are you doing? I know that you were a socially savvy kind of person, but that was strategically dumb.
Allison, what do you think?
Well, we're going to take a break here. If anybody's wondering.
Why do you have a picture in a picture, and why is this digital frame around it?
Here's the thing. If you were born in the 70s or the 80s, you have a picture somewhere of yourself with a silhouette next to it. You're looking like it's a picture, and then it's you looking off into the... Shut up. You know what I'm saying? People know what I'm talking about. There's a picture of a majority of you out there. It's a silhouette. Shut up.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Anyway. Here's what I think. I think Cody doesn't have Derek. I'm not saying Derek made all the decisions for him.
I'll say
but of course he will.
We will.
But here's the thing. He doesn't, you're seeing a different kind of player, and I don't know if I like what I see in Cody right now. He didn't need to use the safety suite. He should have waited, because then he and Memphis could play it together next week to keep each other safe if need be. Now that's going to be on Memphis's shoulders, depending on who gets HOH, because Cody could very well turn around and win HOH. As long as, it's not a mental comp, I think he'll win it. But I just, I'm going to give him a 4.
All right. So next we have Kevin. Get this shit out of here. So Kevin, I'm going to give a 3. His reads are terrible. I don't think that he's encouraging Nicole the right way. I feel like he is only furthering Nicole's like totally incorrect thoughts about where Janelle and Kaiser stand in this game when it comes to them. I don't see who Kevin really has as an ally. I think he thinks that he has Cody, but that's like not happening. Gosh, I almost want to give him a 2, but he's not on the block this week, so I'm going to give him a 3.
I'll give him a 2.
All right. Why the 2?
Well, here's the thing. Kevin could have done so much more for himself. He had people like Davon who were willing to kind of work with him a little bit, but because he just isn't bringing it. And I was really excited to watch him play, considering I hadn't watched BB11, and hearing you and Kidwell really kind of hype up his game, because he was kind of, am I right and correct in saying that he was a little savage the last time he played?
Yes.
Like socially savvy, but like a savage.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing that savage. I'm more annoyed by him than I am by Nicole, because I really do. While I do think that obviously there's going to be mental health issues with a lot of these players, you're stuck in a house and going crazy. I think that all of us in quarantine can relate more this year than we have before. But for me, I'm just sitting back and saying, Kevin burned so many bridges this week, or potential bridges. He could have easily gone to Kaiser and Janelle and had them pick him up as a number. He could have gone to Devon and Bailey and picked him up as a number. He could have had something more solid with the boys, but he didn't have the confidence to approach them. So it's like the people he doesn't have confidence with to approach, like that's never going to happen. You need to be able to like go and like, I don't know, just feel like you're have a seat at the table with people like Cody and Enzo and that kind of stuff. But if you feel awkward, they're gonna feel bad for you, but they're not gonna like want to work with you. Davon and Bailey, they understood like the not having confidence thing. They were willing to listen to you, but yet you're kind of throwing them under the bus. And same with Janelle and Kaiser, who are clearly at the bottom of the house. So while they're accruing numbers, you're actually turning away the people who would have been your best bet in the house, while simultaneously not doing enough to try to help yourself with the other people as well. Like, I just think horrible gameplay all the way around.
Yeah, and he's not even like, he has to understand the writing on the wall that Nicole is probably going home. He's not even using this like the rest of this week to kind of like figure out his allies from here on out. He's just sitting like in the room with Nicole, just like totally just being like a damper on the season, and it's really unfortunate. Allison, what do you think?
Oh my God, Kevin. I love Kevin, but I think he thinks he's helping and he's not helping.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're an alcoholic and I've never had a drink in my life, and I'm going to give you advice on sobriety and how to stay sober. That's how I'm looking at it. Mm-hmm. That's the only analogy I can really think of. I mean, he just needs to hush. Just hush. Be quiet. Hush it up. Stop being ornery. Okay, just calm down. Stop it. But he really thinks he's helping, and he's not. And it just makes me giggle to myself, because listen, I've been wherever. But I don't know.
What do you think?
I'm gonna give him a 5.
A 5? Whoa, okay.
Give him a 5. Just because he's still there. He's not on the radar right this minute, is he? After being on the block last week, that has to mean something.
So you're rating Kevin higher than Cody?
Yeah, because I don't know why say his stupid safety sweat.
Hey, it's your vote. If that's how you feel, Allison. I can't invalidate that.
If I'm a good therapist, I can feel however I want, damn it.
Yikes. Okay, so next we have Tyler. I'm going to give Tyler a 6. I think it's frustrating because like Bailey and Davon would be so much more enticed to work with Janelle and Kaiser if Bailey didn't have a tie to Tyler. And I feel like Tyler's like, of course, like doing these really great job at building these like final 2 deals, like just like one-on-one personal relationships with people. And I think that he has made some more inroads with Cody this week. So all good things, but I still think that the overall like perception of Tyler in this house is that he's a really good player, and we need to get him out sooner rather than later. And perception is reality in the Big Brother house, and it's hard to shake like a big target like that. So, I mean,
Do you think Janelle and Kaser are going to target him and Cody together? Or
I think like a Cody Tyler nomination would be a really good move on them, and also like I could see it happening. I really could.
Yeah,
live for it.
I'm
a floater. Is it wrong of me to say that Tyler's kind of a floater right now?
No.
Yeah, I don't think that's
in the traditional sense in which case he floats to power. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would not call him a coaster.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Like an Andy Herron type of floater.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's rat floater, which like I have no problem with that game. I actually think it's incredibly hard and hard to pull off. I'm a huge supporter of Andy Herron's game, and I don't understand people who say he didn't play a great game. Like, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
No, so I'm gonna give him a 7. The way he's manipulating Nicole right now is really impressive. I mean, it's not hard, but considering that he's gonna come out of that scot-free, and he's gonna benefit a lot from it if she does call that house meeting, which she's kind of pushing her to do. And what it does is it opens up way more avenues for him, because Janelle and Kaser are gonna be desperate to have more people on their side. They're gonna feel hurt about Nicole. Bailey and Davon are gonna feel like, well, Kaser and Nicole, or Kaser and Janelle are maybe not the people we want to attach ourselves to. Let's go back to Tyler. Like, this is all really benefiting him. I think he's doing a really good job of doing that. People recognize his threat level, but people also recognize the threat level of like Janelle, Cody. Like, I think there were people ahead of Tyler, Ian even, to get out. So I'm thinking that that's going to be the way it goes. I think that he's playing a really good under the radar game. So.
Allison, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Beth said, but I'm gonna deduct 2 points and give him a 5 because I hate his hair.
I mean, fair.
That's all I got.
Okay, so if that's all Allison has, let's talk about Bailey. I think that God, she's in that mighty middle once again. So what did I rate her last week? I gave her a 9. I don't think that anything's gotten worse for her. To be fair, I think I'm going to give her.
Gotten better for her, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the 9 for Bailey. Very impressed with what I see, and I think she has, like, say God forbid, like Davon and Bailey go on the block. I think that Davon goes home over Bailey. So even there, she's covered. I think she's doing great. Beth, what do you think?
I'm a huge Bailey fan this week. I said it the other day on Alex Kidwell's podcast as well. I think that I think I'm going to go for a 9. I was trying to do 8 or 9, but I'm just going to go for 9. I really do think that she has the social chops. She's made genuine connections with literally everybody in the house. She is on nobody's lips in terms of people to actually target. She's on people's lips of how can we pull her in. And they even know where she stands with a few people, and they're still interested in working with her. And I think that's the mark of somebody who understands her threat level. She has clearly taken her experience on the challenge and on Big Brother the previous time and really channeled that in order to be an even more sound player. And I thought she was a good player in BB20. She just had a lot of different issues happening. There was a lot going on there that would have affected her. And I also think that just how incompetent the alliance she ended up being with, like, that really tanked her game. If they were a stronger alliance that could actually figure shit out, then I don't think there would have been any stopping Bailey. I really felt like Bailey could have been like a real contender for the win in BB20. So I'm happy that we're seeing this side of her.
I just need to see what she does with power. I need to see what she does with an HOH because like that's what ultimately tanked her game last time.
J Job says that she won't win comps though, but she won comps in BB20, so I don't understand why she wouldn't be able to win comps here. Like, she's a legitimate threat for it, and if she can do well on the challenge, I mean, like, I'm just saying.
I don't think she needs to win a comp right now. I think her.
She doesn't need a comp win. That's the thing.
Allison,
I don't put a lot of prize on just winning comps. I want you to need a comp or do something with it. That would be interesting.
Allison, what do you think?
I think Bailey's doing awesome because Tyler's the only person from her season in that house. I think last year was a toxic house.
Mhm.
I think it was full of toxic energy. It was horrible. And Bailey is better than that and didn't need to be around that. The best thing that came out of that for her was Christopher,
Yeah.
Swaggy C. So I'm liking the Bailey. We're getting the Bailey we should have gotten 2 years ago, but we didn't because it was a bad house. Wait a minute. Hold on. She didn't play last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Okay, last year was
I knew
a
you
top
meant.
house. Okay. 2 years ago, it was not a good situation for her. Yeah, well, there were still people that say, like, you just, you get what I'm saying. I just think it was not the right time for her, and I think that God had a plan for her, and here it is. And I think she needs to keep doing what she's doing and stick with the people she's with, and she will be fine. I'm going to give her an 8 because I'm going to bring it down just a point from last week because to me, there comes a time when you are so interested in everyone else and you can match their conversation and have the same interest for so long that carries over into brown nosing and kissing ass. And I don't want her to get into that area. But if you're doing that with everybody, people are going to catch on to, oh, gosh, she's got something in common with everybody in here. Damn.
Yeah.
Also, her and Janelle just look like so cute in this picture together.
So cute. I love it.
I'm obsessed. And I think Bailey ultimately really does want to work with Janelle and Kaiser.
Is this happening right now? Does anybody?
It's going to happen in about an hour or so. Big Brother Ant said a couple posts up from that. So.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. Well, let's power through this then. So Nicole Franzel, I'm going to give a 6. I think she's like really stuck on this Janelle thing, and like saying like just trying to like find like any kind of validation that Janelle is like talking shit about her, which is like not happening. Like Janelle is just kind of like over her, but she's not like actively like being mean to her or anything. To the point where like even Christmas, who's like in Nicole's alliance, is saying like she told her the other day, girl, like you need to stop, and Nicole's like, well, she's not talking to me. She's like Janelle is not even like having conversations with me about the game or personally. And Christmas said back, are you having those conversations with her? And she's like, well, no, but so like it's just like such a blind spot for her. And it's so frustrating because I see lots of good stuff in Nicole. She just like doesn't like, she's just like her insecurity just makes it like just a really ugly situation in my opinion. So I think the roots are there. I just think that she needs to like do better at applying it elsewhere. So 6.
I'm giving her a 4. I think that people are getting sick of her in the house. I think that her own alliance is realizing that she could potentially become a liability down the road. I don't think that Danny will necessarily just break away from her because it seems like they're pretty close, like both in and out of the house. But I don't think that I think Cody's going to see that he doesn't need her. However, to Nicole's benefit, I will say I think Ian and her have gotten a lot stronger.
Yes,
over the past
that's a really good alliance for her.
So that's a really good alliance. And if anything, that's really the alliance that she should push. Now, here's my issue with her is that I would say that she's got 3 people that she's probably like in a quote unquote final 2 with, which I would consider Danny, Cody, and Ian. I don't know if any of them, maybe Danny, but I don't see any of them really saying, oh yeah, no, Nicole's my person for the rest of the game if she keeps up this kind of attitude. Now, here's the other thing too. There's already been talk in the house. I think it was Davon, Bailey, and Janelle talking about, or maybe it was Janelle and Nicole A. I can't remember which conversation, but somebody talked about the fact that Nicole Franzel is not somebody who works with women and in the house can be pretty anti-women. And then I know that Nicole got upset and she's like, I have 9 bridesmaids. Girl, that doesn't mean shit in the Big Brother house. I don't give a shit that you have 9 bridesmaids.
9 bridesmaids. Shut up.
Like, here's the issue that we're
As a
seeing.
wedding photographer, of course, she has 9 bridesmaids.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything strategic out of her at all right now. I'm not seeing anything of her really trying. I'm seeing her resting on relationships and laurels, and they're the ones that are doing stuff, which normally could be actually a pretty good strategy, but she just seems to be kind of turning off people. So I'm giving her a 4 for that reason.
Allison, what do you think?
Well, I'm just going to say, Big Brother Ant, I'm not allowed to give negative numbers. I've already tried, and he won't let me.
I'm the fun police.
Not around these
said
parts.
it. I'm
Negative
recording
numbers.
that. What's the timestamp on that? 1 minute, 4 seconds, 50. The fun police. Can I give her a half?
No, only full points.
Can I give her a 0?
What about I would like to give her a
That's a full
fraction.
number.
The only person I would give a 0 is like, God, I don't know, like Luan in Big Brother 13. Like that is a 0. She does not deserve a 0. Like, yes, her personality is intolerable, but she has a decent footing in the game.
I'm giving her a 0. She's awful.
All right. I'll give her a 0 for you.
I got nothing else. She's freaking awful.
All I'm gonna say is that obviously I'm gonna have to cut off Allison's internet for the rest of her life.
Yeah, you better be careful.
Let's try
it. All right. So I was trying to find like a color for 0 because I don't have one, but it's just gonna be that dark red. All right, so
you know what? She's got the support of the chat, so that's all that matters.
On my side. That's all I need.
Okay, let's see. Wow, very harsh on Nicole. Okay, so next we have Memphis.
Okay, here we go. I never thought in my life I would do this, but this HOH is getting a 3.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear it. Why a 3, Beth?
Okay, it just like, how can you go into a week like this on week 2 where you have good footing in this game and make almost every person who's aligned with you really question you, not only as a game player, but as a person? Like, that is horrible. He has had horrible management with relationships. He has burned so many bridges, like Jay Jobs has just said in the chat. Like, this is, I'm actually impressed with how horribly he's handled this HOH. I don't think that I don't think that it matters who goes up. I think that, or who wins HOH. I think that he's going to go up definitely within the next 2 weeks easily. And I think he's the target to go home for a lot of people for next week. So, and on top of that, he doesn't have a preference of who goes home. So what was all of this for if you didn't have a target and you wanted to create little chaos and make them do that shit? Okay, great. But you should also be able to recognize that you're losing people and you need to win them back. And how you win them back is give them some direction of what to do and build trust that way. And you're incapable of seeing that. And I will 100% stand by that. He has just further proved to me that he is not a good game player.
Yeah, so this is so difficult, guys. Of course, like, do I think Memphis in Big Brother 10 was a good player? Yes. Do I think that he is not playing as well this season? Yes. I feel like he's like really stuck in this like old school mentality of how Big Brother should be played, and I'm going to force everybody to play it my way type of thing. And it's really just coming across like a cranky old man sitting up in his HOH room by himself. He's like never outside of that room. I feel like like you said, Beth, the bonds that he has had have only like crumbled this week in what should be an easy week, right? Nicole and David are on the block and one of them is going home. Like, it's not like he put up like Danny and Cody. It's not like he put up Cancer. Like, these are like very like just like pawn pieces on the chessboard, and he's totally fumbled even that. So I agree with you, Beth. I'm going to give him a 3, but I do think his Big Brother 10 game was good. So.
I will say this though too, as an added thing. Why does he need to avenge Dan when Dan beat him in a clean sweep?
Right. Like, just stop talking about Dan. Like
why
nobody cares that he beat it.
He already got his 500K. You're there for yours. Why do you even care?
Exactly. The Dan mist is real, even when he's not in the Big Brother house.
Exactly. Even when he's not there, he's there.
Oh my God, Thomas the Talker said, I want to hear him yell, "You're going home!" And become
You're going home, old man. Who are you talking to? You're the old man.
There is a theory that Jerry and Memphis actually switched bodies, and Jerry is in the HOA, is in the Big Brother 22
We started seeing Memphis wear a whole bunch of like Marine gear. Like, I had to take off my hat because I have to lie today.
He's gonna call Tyler a womanizer next week.
Oh my God. I'm not wearing any of my J. Crew hats or shirts because I refuse to dishonor that brand because of, in PacSun. I'm basically naked right now because I don't want to, in Walmart. Anyway, I just want to throw this out there. I love you too, Mom.
That's cute. I love this. Will Memphis call you?
Thank you for the fan, Mama.
Allison, so what's your rating on Memphis?
I love Memphis. I'm giving him a 7. And all y'all can get mad at me all you want. I don't care. I love it. I'm living for it. He is just it's so typical. I'm not surprised, shocked, nothing by his behavior. I've been around men. I've worked with men like this. Good Lord, I'm not shocked. But the fact that he nominated 2 big dogs like Nicole and David, because these 2 were barking and scratching, keeping everyone up with that excellent gameplay. I mean, my God, nonstop. I would have nominated them too. Come on now, Memphis. The only reason why those nominations were safe. He thought maybe he wouldn't get any blood on his hands by those 2 nominations, but in doing so, his behavior is getting the blood on him because of everything you guys have said. But he's not apologizing. He's not apologetic. He pretty much made everyone so paranoid. Yep, what the fuck is right? Get used to it. Because here's the thing. He made everyone in that house so paranoid. I'm sorry, Michael. Just hear me out. He had everyone so paranoid in that house, they all used their safety suites. Okay? I don't see David or Nicole or anybody else causing a ruckus doing that. Outstanding fashion sense, too, by the way.
The Frank starter kit. Obsessed with Ian, a button-down blue shirt.
Breaking news, Danny's trying to talk Nicole Anthony out of doing the house meeting. This is why I love Danny. She realizes that some shit could come out about alliances that really could mess up her game, so she's thinking very logically.
Hey, here's the thing. Just because that's another thing. He grew up 20 minutes from me in Collierville, Tennessee. So I'm in Bartlett. So yeah, there's a little bit of allegiance there, but I'm not surprised. I'm probably the only person that's not shocked by his freaking behavior. We're the same age. Men morph into this at some point in their life. Not all of them, but some of them do, especially down here. Okay.
Well, what Allison is basically trying to do is create an insurance policy for whenever we actually finish our BB10 coverage.
Yeah.
So that Memphis comes on the show.
Yeah.
It's true. I'm doing damage control.
I've done nothing but shit on him as a game player. As a person, I can't really speak to him.
Pay me a Walmart gift card.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about Enzo next. I'm gonna give him a 6. I think he's doing okay with the people he's working with, but I don't really see him doing much more than that right now. I don't know. Which maybe that's what he needs to be doing, but I just see a lot of blind spots for him. People he's not really trying to work with. I feel like he's just gonna ride or die with the people he is working with. So he's in a good spot, but I could see him getting in some trouble in a few weeks. I don't know. A 6. I don't know.
I agree with that completely, and I would also give him a 6. I think that he and Tyler are playing similar games, but Tyler's doing more with it than totally he is. And what we might find out is that what Tyler's doing ends up screwing Tyler over, and what Enzo's doing helps him, but we could find it happening the opposite way. But I find Tyler more enticing to watch as a player right now than Enzo, so I'm going to give him a 6 as well.
Allison, what do you think?
Man, he's got to stop working out because the minute they opened up that backyard the other day, he was getting the weights. He was walking around the house with them weights. You know, at least he doesn't look like the Unabomber anymore, but he needs to eat something. Okay. He needs to eat something. But other than that, I haven't seen a whole lot of him. I don't really know what's going on with Enzo. Somebody in the chat did say that he's like, I hear an echo. I don't know. But someone in the chat did say that he was kind of like the poor man's Kevin Schubler.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh my God, it's like a before and after. It's like you start out as Enzo and you end up as Kevin. But there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sorry, I keep hearing. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know.
Matt said someone has an echo too. I'm not hearing an echo. Are you, Tyler?
I hear it a little bit, but I don't know who it's from.
If it's too annoying, just let us know. We'll figure it out. But
it's not like too bad. So
yeah, okay. I'm just gonna give my little skinny Enzo a 5.
I knew that's what you were going to say. I know you so well.
What are you talking about? You didn't know that.
I copied the 5 from up here, like while you were talking about them.
I'm on a roll with the 5s, right?
Yeah, you got a lot of 5s there. So next we're gonna talk about the Queen, Janelle. God, I want to give her a 10 because I'm just like rooting for her so hard, and I hope she wins HOH. But of course, like her spot in the house is, I think, like the most I can give her is a 4. She's Janelle. She's always gonna have the big target on her. She's trying, but I don't think her and Case are gonna get their way this upcoming week. So with like Nicole staying instead of going home. So they really need to win an HOH. Like that's really like all it boils down to.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her a 5 because I do think that she has helped suss out a lot of what's happening in the house. She's figured out the alliances. She's got a big target on her, which is why her rating is low. Mm-hmm. But I do think that she's doing a lot of really good things in this house. It's just how much does she really have control over, which is ultimately an issue when it comes to a game like this. So I don't feel like I can give her something higher, even though on a personal level, I'm with you. I'd like to give her a 9 or 10. But if I'm just coming from a gameplay where I feel like how many options does she have moving forward, the thing that she has the most control over right now, considering Nicole and David seem to be such like a chaotic 2 on the block that aren't going to really help her either way. Yeah. She or Kaser needs to win HOH point blank period next week.
Point blank period or point blank and the period.
Point blank and the period, as Davon would say.
Allison, what do you think about Janelle?
I'm going to give Janelle a 7.
7. Okay.
Because I feel like this will pass. I feel like it's going to be okay. It's been a rough week. If Nicole Anthony, I'm sure it wouldn't be so bad on Janelle. I think Janelle's really trying. I'm giving her an effort for that. But the people that should be listening to her are not listening, and they're just not listening. And I know what it's like to be in a position where people don't listen to you and you have their best interest at heart during a game. And it's hard as hell and it's frustrating, and she's going to have to end up cutting ties with those people and doing things that she's not. You're going to be like, well, I don't understand why you did that. Well, I don't understand why you weren't listening to me in the first place. So I'm going to give her a 7.
All right. So with a 7, let's talk about Kaser. Allison, let's hear from you first. What do you think about Kaser?
Oh, I get to go first? Mm-hmm. I just love Kaser. He connects with everyone in the house and he talks, and it's not an ass-kissing situation. And I'm not saying it is for everybody, but I just love him. I'm giving him a 7. He's kind of in the same boat as Janelle. I think if they were both on the block, Janelle would definitely be the one to go. But he has been in this game since day one. A lot of the things that he has said were going to happen have happened. And I wish he could get a hold of the situation with Nicole Anthony. I feel like if anybody could do it, he could. I know, but I mean, I just don't know. I just feel like he's such a legend, and I can't go with people like Janelle and Case, or I can't go any lower than a 7 with them just because of their experience. And I feel like this is just a bump in the road. They faced harder. They'll get through it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think he's in a little bit better of a spot than Janelle, and I agree with everything you said, Allison. So I'm going to give him a 5 where I give Janelle a 4. I think he's in a little bit better of a spot. Beth, what do you think?
I'm just going to give him a 5 as well. I can't move him higher than Janelle.
Yeah.
I just can't, because I feel like right now they're a package duo. I think that they're both complementary to each other. So there's something that Janelle's strong in. There's something that Kaser's strong in. So again, they need to win HOH. I do think that Janelle would be targeted before Kaser, that if that was to be the case, if the two of them were up on the block, I feel like he would stay over her, which would be the edge. But I don't know. She's a veto queen for a reason. So if you're up on the block against her, you never know.
Yeah. All right. Beth, let's hear your thoughts about Da'Vonne.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and give her a 9 because I'm all about Da'Vonne this week.
All right, let's hear it.
So Da'Vonne and Bailey are another two that are working really well together. They're playing that middle area. Da'Vonne is starting to wake up and get those intuitive nature coming back. And I've loved seeing what she does as a person in the house. When we were talking about the stuff with Nicole earlier, she's become a trusted confidant for so many people in the house for personal things, which is always a good place to be in terms of if you're already going to be in the middle as a strategic player, you want to be the person that people are coming to when they're missing home, when they're needing a human connection moment. And I really, really, really love seeing her play this time. I mean, I love Da'Vonne all the time. I've loved having Da'Vonne on my television. And I'm not going to lie, there was a part of me when I first saw that she was coming back, I was like, oh, is she an all-star since she has never been able to channel what the potential she has into a game?
Yeah. And
I realized like I was being really critical on her for really no reason, because she really came out of that shell in BB18. I think BB18, she kind of proved like then that she had a lot more to her game. But I'm seeing just next level Da'Vonne, and I'm so excited to see her go. I would not be upset with the Da'Vonne HOH. I want her to win her first competition. And I also got a very good laugh out of the last episode where she said, I might have just won my first competition. And she was like in dead last place. It was so funny. But I love Da'Vonne. I love seeing what she's doing in the house. And I'm interested to see what happens with the whole like Danny situation, because it could either really hurt her moving forward, or it could be exactly the thing that Da'Vonne needs. Give her an inch, she's going to take a mile kind of situation in order to just kind of snowplow.
So I agree with what J-Job says here. Da'Vonne's getting snowed by Slick 6. Eviction is coming due to that. I don't know if eviction is coming due to that. I think with Bailey in there, I think it really helps her out, especially with her connection to Tyler. But I think she is a little too loyal to that alliance, where I think that she would be higher up on that totem pole and more respected if she was working with the Janelles and Kasers and Kevins of the world. So because of that, I
think they are. I think that as of today, it seemed like Da'Vonne was really
absolutely. But I think that she's flirting with it a lot more than Bailey. So that's why I want to give Bailey a 9 and I want to give Da'Vonne an 8. Allison, what do you think?
I think that sometimes you have to play or fall a few times before you realize how you tripped. And I think that Da'Vonne has definitely learned from that. And I think going on the challenge has probably been an eye-opening as well. So I'm going to give her a 9. Her connections are genuine. They're coming off the right way. She has it split. This is game. This is personal. And I don't foresee she's not brown nosing. She's not doing anything like she is genuinely zoned in. I think she and Kaser, are a lot alike in this. Those are the two I'm pulling for. Like if I had to pick two people to 100% pull for right now, I want Da'Vonne and Kaser. Those are the two. I would love to see that. Yeah, but basically, I feel like there are anchors attached to the two of them right now that they really need to decide. They're going to have to decide later on. I got to cut that anchor off at some point. Will they be able to do it?
Yeah,
I think they will.
There's something that feels different about Devon this time.
Yeah.
In like a good, like, I could see her winning this game type of thing. And I've never felt that way about Devon in the Big Brother house before. So we'll see. We'll see. Still plenty of time. So last but not least, we have Ian. I will go first. I'm giving him a 9 this week. I think that he is playing really well. His connection with Nicole is fantastic. He got Christmas to save him when he's like not even a part of that big alliance. I think Ian's doing like everything correctly. And the longer that he goes on without really like committing to a side either way, the more powerful of a piece that he becomes for people to argue over. And Ian's going to do what Ian wants to do. He's not going to be like fooled by anybody. It's really hard for me to say like anything bad about Ian, except the only thing is like Memphis like really has his eye on him for some reason. He's like really intimidated by him, but Memphis is the outgoing HOH, so there's no way that he's getting put up under Memphis's HOH next week or anything. So I'm giving him a 9. Beth, what do you think?
I think I'm going to give him an 8 for all the reasons that you just said. I'm worried that if for some reason Memphis's stock rises again with his alliance, now that he was able to say Ian was a target of mine, that might put a target on him for other people in the alliance to either put up as a pawn or potentially as a target in upcoming weeks. But I do think that his gameplay, specifically, like you said, with Christmas, with Nicole, has been great. Even with, I've seen some pretty cool conversations with Janelle and Kaser. I've seen interesting conversations between him and Tyler. So, I mean, he's playing a really good middle game, and I'm interested to see what happens with him. I'm so proud of him. We must protect him at all costs. I love it, Ian.
Yes. Allison, what do you think?
I love Ian. I think that he's handling himself very well. I'm going to give him an 8. Just because he was a blip on the radar because Memphis wanted to put him up. So, but he didn't. He got Christmas convinced her to use the safety suite.
That won't be the same, Tyler.
What's that?
The last one won't be the same because it's 2 8s and a 9 versus 2 9s and an 8.
3. There we go. All right, cool. Well, there you have it, guys. So our average ratings say that Devon and Bailey are the highest ranked in the house. And I think that feels right. They are a really, really mighty middle here.
Wait, can you zoom in a little bit? It's a little sorry. No, you're fine. There we go.
There we go. So as you can see, Devon and Bailey are in the lead right now, according to our rankings, with Christmas and Ian really, really close behind them. And I think that feels right too. So we'll see. But of course, the lowest rated house guest that is not on the block is Nicole Franzel, thanks to Allison's very level-headed 0 rating. And Kevin.
Which also feels right.
yeah. Kevin feels right. I don't know about Nicole, but everybody has a vote, right? So we'll see. I think we're all kind of in agreement here. Do we want to see a Janelle or Kaser HOH win next?
I want to see Janelle or Kaser win, and I think it would be interesting, even though they don't need it. Actually, I would like to see a Devon win. I don't know if Bailey needs it. I think Devon could use an HOH as well. Also, I just like to see what she does with it. Yeah. And then just, you know what, just because I would like to see what they would do with it, I would be interested to see if Enzo, like what Enzo would do.
Oh,
that would really he would have to choose where he's aligned with. So
I think that would result in a Janelle Kaser nomination, I think.
Oh, totally. I think so. But you never know. They've got some powerful people in people's ears. So
yeah, and we also have to think like the safety suite ends next week. So we have one more round of that. We only have a few people left that can play. I think it's
it's another reason to get rid of Nicole Anthony this week because she can play in the safety suite next week. So
yeah, that's true. That is very true. Allison, any closing thoughts?
No.
That's
okay.
it?
I think think I've said all I have to say.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, all right, guys. Well, there you have it. We will see. Ultimately, I think Nicole is going to go home. I think that's going to happen. She's in the showman's room by herself right now, debating on whether or not she wants to call that house meeting. I don't think she should. I don't think that's going to go well for her. But God, I just hope that she's okay. First and foremost, I hope she still has a lot of like reverence for her gameplay and her as a character on Big Brother after she leaves the house this week, and she's not too hard on herself.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, there you have it, guys. We will see you guys on Thursday live after the eviction, and we'll see who wins the next HOH. I can't wait to talk about all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Make sure subscribe to us on YouTube. And you'll get notifications when we go live. We're also on Apple Podcasts.
You got it.
Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, My Weekly Meltdown. Yeah, that's it.
Also, go ahead, Beth.
No, I was just gonna say it. You go for it.
So we are launching a Patreon. So we are figuring out like the different tiers for that, what that entails. But I think expect some more news on that on Thursday's show. I think we'll be talking about it very soon. But yeah, that's on the horizons. If you like what you see or hear, feel free to throw us $1 or $2, help us out. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So with that, everybody stay safe, wear a mask, and we will see you on Thursday. Bye.
Bye.